Good morning, everyone, or at least afternoon. This is Russell Wright, Network Empire, OMG Director's Cut, and we are so glad that you guys could make it. I've been waiting to talk to you since our last week's meeting. Seems like a long time has passed, so I'm really glad to be jumping into new questions. I'm here with CEO Sue Bell, at least of Network Empire, and many other companies that she runs. She's a software architect behind pretty much everything that we do gets approved and runs by her, including the invention, inception. Also, Jimmy Kelly is here for all of your crazy SEO needs. White hat, black hat, no hat, full Monty, whatever you need. He's got
whatever
full Monty.
it takes to get it ranked.
Whatever it freaking takes, without blowing yourself up and without being of harm to yourself and others. And so we're going to get into that. There's a lot of questions that we have coming in. I will let you know that both Jimmy and Sue have been working a little bit too hard. So we just want to go one question at a time. I'm concerned for the amount of time that Sue is logging these days. She's both programming and managing 3 companies and cracking the whip for several operations departments and doing things that most people would not believe are humanly possible. Jimmy is seldom sleeps and is running several major projects that include ranking for ridiculously competitive terms while back engineering Google's latest patents with Sue. So as you guys can imagine, there's a lot of stuff going on. Let's just do some verifications here just to make sure that everybody can hear. Oh, by the way, I'm Russell Wright. And I don't know if you know me or care, but that's my name. Okay, so I'm the co-inventor of a lot of these applications as well. Let me hear a 1. Give me a 1, you guys, if you can hear me rambling on about crazy stuff. Everybody okay? Okay, there's some questions about questions. Are there questions listed, new questions, or are these continuations of questions that were submitted prior to the previous webinar? Good question, Steve. Sue and I were just trying to figure that out ourselves. Looks like we had most of the questions answered in the previous webinar, and now these are new, Steve. And there's no possible way that we're going to be able to answer every single question this time around, so we're going to take them in the order that they came. And actually, we might be able to get through most of them, but we're going to make sure that we pick our battles a little bit this time. Okay, let's see. Heidi, it's good to see you. And Bill, I recognize you. Wow, lots of people. What's amazing to me is how many people, the sheer volume of people that hit this webinar within 30 seconds or less. The GoToMeeting servers are just shaking when the Director's Cut folks get on. So that's really, really exciting. The answer is, Patrick is asking, will this be recorded? As always, this will be recorded. And as always, it will be uploaded into the Director's Cut area as per last week. Some of you noticed we had a little bit of an issue. I handed David Mills a copy of a recording that was only 3/4 of the way completed for some reason, and then we found the full recording. So that's up there for you. Anybody who missed the previous recording, go ahead and go back there and listen to it. If you're interested, there's some incredible reveals in there. I actually learned a couple of items in there about local, specifically the URL aspects of local search. Jimmy and Sue had an amazing dialogue about that, so that's something you're not going to want to miss. I guess at this point, we're just going to jump right in. The process here is we have the questions that Sue has from the form, but we also have a lot of you that tend to ask questions right here. And depending upon how we end up doing it, sometimes we'll volley back and forth just to catch our breath on the spreadsheet. If the question is related, I'll try to grab it as it goes by. So just keep your questions just type in the chat window, and I'll do my best either to manually type in an answer. If I don't know the answer, I'll just ask Jimmy or Sue. So I guess we can just go ahead and get started. Thank you all for being here.
Sure. So the first question from Brad. Kudani.com. Have you heard of that, Russ?
Yeah. Kudani? Sure. Yeah. Kudani is a software, curation software, I believe, created by Paul, I think. Paul, yeah, I did some beta testing and some early, and we also looked at it for prototyping and features. Let me just go ahead and
Is it good? That was
Yeah.
Brad's question.
Yeah, it's Paul. It's Paul.
It would be good for DAS.
It's Paul Clifford. My caution with it, not caution. How do I be super diplomatic? It depends. Are you looking at the agency version or not the agency version? It's kind of like apples and oranges. Like there's nothing. As long as we're clear that Qdani doesn't domain authority stack. Again, that's the issue that I have with content curation. Some of you have taken my 2012-13 curationempire.com course. A lot has changed since then. Curation is a different part of the reason that we created domain authority stacking, and the reason that Jimmy and Sue talk about it so much, is that curation is the opposite of domain authority stacking for most people. And so this is not saying anything negative about Paul. Paul is in terms of development of software in the internet marketing trade, he's one of the better guys out there. He doesn't tend to create junk. But I will say that the methodology that Qdani is really a way to help you rapidly kind of do a whole bunch of things, and such as images and all those other things. So when it comes to content curation, it's not a terrible desktop platform, but the platform itself will not help you think clearly about strategies. So you'll often hear Jimmy or Sue say, only tweet yourself, only promote yourself, and that sounds very self-serving, but from the perspective of SEO, we're actually talking about link flow. Okay, the problem with content curation in the early years that made our course so popular is that by curating, for example, on my friend's platform, Scoop It, Guillaume's platform, which I do recommend you guys use for curation, is that you're curating everybody else's stuff. Give me a 1 if that makes sense, that you understand what I mean. The problem with curation is that it's usually other people's stuff, and that's got nothing to do with domain authority stacking, and it's got nothing to do with almost anything useful, actually. To the point where Guillaume came to us, with his enterprise platform, Scoop It, saying, okay, how can we appeal to SEOs, and how can we, Clint just said, hard to build a brand when you're promoting other people's content. Yeah, it was really strange in the early years. I was one of the early prototype developers of Scoop It. It's almost like a bunch of kids sitting around trading baseball cards, but none of the teams or the players are your own, like you're not an owner. It's not a great business model. That's what I'm saying. And not only that, you're just trading cards, and it's not really giving you any link juice, like Jimmy and Sue are constantly teaching us to do. So the real key behind domain authority stacking is it doesn't matter if you curate, if you use RSS feeds, or whatever you're doing, as long as you're following the logical progression that Jimmy and Sue are teaching on the flow of trust and the flow of energy. And a lot of the curation stuff is getting the flow and the trust to go in precisely the wrong direction. Like it couldn't be any more, the wrong direction. So my comment to you to wrap up the Qdani question is just make sure that if you use it, that you understand the real methodology, because it's merely a content organization and creation system. Okay? We can move on from that one, Sue. Hello? Is there anybody else here? I'm not able to hear you, Sue.
Oh, it would help if I weren't muted.
Yes.
Yeah, am I back now?
Yes, you are.
All right,
We
good.
lost you.
All right, so Rise was asking, what's the best way to build a vSilo without using DWS? Can you do it manually? Absolutely is the answer. So I'm going to show you how to do this with the Deep Silo Builder. It's the same thing with the vSilo. Deep Silo is a plugin that's just about ready to come out, but this feature is in the existing, both the regular Silo Builder and the vSilo Builder. So you can just come in here, you can click. If you're starting with a brand new site, then home is going to be your only option. You come down here and you can type in the keywords that you want for your silos. So let's say that we want, for example, search engine optimization, and maybe social media marketing. And we can say add new. And obviously, since there's already an existing site here, it will add them to that. And then you can take them and drag them to wherever you want, if you want them in a different order after you're done. So And then if you want to put in, didn't I type in search engine optimization? I'll check that. I already had SEO.
Hey, Sue, just hang on a second. There's some complaints. Give me a 1 if you can see Sue's screen, and 2 if you cannot. George is saying that he can't. Okay, that's just you, George. I think you might. Oh, there are 2 people out of about 100. They're saying.
Okay, I can make this bigger.
Yeah, maybe the browser could go a little bigger. Okay. Most of the people can see the screen, George, just so you know. Maybe, gosh, I'm not sure what that.
People in the list, it seemed like.
That's not bad.
All right, so yeah, maybe log out and log back in again. All right, so search engine optimization and social media marketing, you can see that it added those there. So if I want to add something underneath search engine marketing, then I just check that. And I can say like SEO. I don't want to use SEO. That's already a silo that I got up there. Give me some keywords, people. Oh, keywords. There we go. There's a good word. Just do one.
Keyword research. Okay.
There you go. Keyword research. All right. And add that, and that will add it underneath this silo here. So because I don't think well on the fly, as you guys just saw that, I like to have a keyword tool. So I've got some keyword ideas. And Jimmy will tell you his favorite keyword tool is the last keyword tool. But you could use the Google Planner if you want.
People are asking why you have the hide my IP thing up there, and what is all that
That's
about?
for the next question. I was doing things while Russell was talking. I tried to multitask.
All right.
The next question is from Jeff. He says, I'm just building what will pretty much be a static site. Should I set up the RSS one-feed strategy once I've started building the site? I probably won't get on my soapbox, but I hate the concept of a static site because although I can see it for many sites. So like if you've got a product site and you're going to put up your products and that's going to be the end of your site and you're going to go blog on someplace else, I guess I could see that. So so should you set up the RSS one feed strategy once you've started building the site? If it's going to be mostly pages, which is what I tend to do for a static site, then you're going to want to make sure that you've got a plugin that's going to include your pages in your feed. And you can do that. You're not going to see too much benefit off of the one feed if you've got a static site. So I tend to use that on blogs where I'm going to be blogging regularly. So if you're going to have a static site, I totally recommend that someplace you've got a blog where you're blogging about your products and the news around them and how it solves the pains in the marketplace and all that kind of good stuff. And that would be the place that you really want to do your one feed.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt to do it on your static site, but it just isn't going to bring you the effect that you want.
I mean, it makes. We had this question last week, and the answer you gave was the same. Essentially, guys and gals, you should be thinking in terms of, if you're going to have a limited number of pages, that's going to be the only pages in a static site. That'll be the only pages that are ever on the RSS feed, and so your XML is just static. I think the main concept here is broadcasting or continual content broadcasting, because then you just add link after link after link to your feed page, right? When you don't do that, it's one time, and then that feed just goes out everywhere. And I suppose you could keep using that same feed over and over again. And there are advantages to doing that in terms of ranking, which is why we have the sticky top in the upcoming one feed supercharger. But more or less, as Sue and I and Jimmy can attest for thousands of sites and hundreds of clients, the more you post, the more traffic you get, and the more rankings overall, depending upon how you set that up.
Scott asks an interesting question. How do you regularly blog if you have roughly 50 sites for clients? I put that back on the clients, because the clients are the ones who really know about their products and about the news in their industry and all that sort of stuff. You can provide them with ways that make it easier, but really it should be up to them. Yeah,
for example, when we set up, we're sold out on this, but our done for you blog booster service did not include us creating the content for the client. We would actually charge as much to create the content as we would for the blog boost itself. which was already a fairly decent sized cost expense for them. So just remember, keep those things separate. You've got to think about your product costs and development, folks, if you're offering those kinds of services, because it takes time to properly syndicate through the one feed, and if there's no content, you can't syndicate much. So those are two separate expenses, and when you show people how this works, and you can also show them the kind of difference of traffic on a static site versus a non-static site, then you should get paid pretty well for that.
So Adrian says, using the DAS method with vSilo feeds promotes posts and the content become pages unless you go 3 layers down. Yeah, yes.
Let's go ahead and get that question a little bit more clear for everybody.
So the vSilo plugin has 2 static layers of pages. The silo landing page, let me see if I can find you an image here really quickly, because otherwise I will lose myself.
Website silo architecture, you can type in and we're at the top. There it is.
All right, so this layer right here, the pages that end up being the main menu at the top of your site, those are going to be static pages. And then vSilo, this layer is also static pages. So you don't get to actual blog posts until you get down here. And so his question was, is the idea to put content in the 3rd layer that are posts? Yes, so we're just coming out with a new version of the plugin called the Simple Silo Builder to answer his question, because he's saying it's the idea then to put your posts down here so that you get
right.
new content regularly.
Yeah, that's a good question.
And, yeah, it's a great question. And that was my original idea, because typically you've got like a product category, and then you've got an actual product, and then underneath that product you occasionally put out additional information, and so those things come up as posts.
Right.
And
so yes.
So as we started working with it more and more, what I realized was most people just want to have a set for their blog. When you have just a blog that's associated with your static site, you want just one layer of silos, and then you want to make this layer posts. So the Simple Silo plugin, which
it's pretty much done.
Will be out this week.
Yeah, we're going to release it this week.
Will let you stick posts as you post. It'll just come right underneath here, which is a more natural thing.
Yeah, so what I love about it is that for those of you who have a blog and just want to have the posts like one layer deep, right, it's there. And those of you who want to continue to use our old methods where you have the siloing of the pages and then your post is at the bottom layer, you can still use the completely upgraded vSilo plugin and the free Silo plugin, which have also been built from the ground up. So that's pretty exciting.
I don't remember if I talked about this last week or not, but the idea behind the stack pages is that they stay ranked longer and easier. So posts rank quickly enough, as well as do pages, but for the long haul, because posts were designed to be news-oriented, they fall into the archive and they fall out of the rankings pretty darn quickly, unless you're doing something to keep them there, which is a lot of traffic and a lot of fresh inbound links.
Right.
Static pages, on the other hand, were more intended to be evergreen type pages, and so they tend to stick in the search engines, or in Google at least, longer and easier. So that was why we used the static pages as the framework for the silo structures.
Exactly. Exactly.
Right.
Here's a quick question from Damien. Can I use the OneFeed Advanced on my local website that doesn't get many searches for the main keyword? Jimmy mentioned that we shouldn't send too many links to websites that don't get much search volume.
I don't have too much problem with the OneFeed. I'll let Jimmy weigh in on this, but I don't have too much problem with the OneFeed because the actual link itself is the title of the blog post, which is quite a long link. And so there's enough diversity there, in my humble opinion, that you don't run into any problem. Jimmy, are you there? Do you want to say something about that?
Yeah, I'm here. I mean, so that's in regards to the Panda update that happened. We have more information on that we did an update to the GSA course that you can find. if you're in that. But specifically, when you're sending backlinks, just think of more how people would type into your site. So if your main keyword was going to be, and with this I tried to stay away from like descriptors, and I think we've talked about this in a couple of the webbies so far, but descriptors just like, that could be like a location, so that's your city plus keyword, or that's your price plus keyword, or that's your inventory plus keyword, something that describes what your keyword is, or is more specific to an actual, it defines it, or it defines where it's at, or what it is. So, but it's not natural for people to typically type that in. So, for instance, typically if you're in, let's say your water pipe breaks, you got water all over the floor, you're not going to come in and most people don't type in water damage Salt Lake City. They're just going to type in water damage repair, or plumbing repair, or something like that. It's not going to be like a geographic specific keyword. And one of the big things with that Panda update was you just need to stay away from, it doesn't make sense to have city plus keyword over and over again, because it's not getting enough search volume to support that many inbound links with that anchor text. And so you just want to be careful of that when you're doing your backlinking. Think more broad, or what you might actually type in versus that specific keyword. I'm not saying don't use it at all, but use it sparingly, because in a local search it might get 30 searches a month or something. So you should have maybe one backlink that actually has your descriptor. And when I choose that one that's going to use it, I usually try to pick the most powerful link I have access to be able to push for that keyword. So hopefully that kind of makes sense.
Gotcha. I'll answer real quick. Can I just grab Rizel's question or snipe that one off, Sue?
Oh, I have a. Do you want me to show a picture of? This is one that I took way back in the day when we were doing the other one feed.
Oh, definitely.
Course.
Probably want to grab the screen then, or?
Yeah, I'll show you guys here. Just so you guys can kind of see like the results you can get. So hopefully, let me know when you can see it. Give me a 1 when you can see my screen. Just because I know it takes a little bit of time for it to load.
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, so this is an example of implementing the one feed, and this specifically for this example was just implementing the advanced one feed. So you can see how the traffic and more visitors just kind of started taking off after just implementing the one feed. So you can see it's a very powerful technique. It definitely will increase traffic, increase rankings across the board. So, don't make sure you're not skipping that step.
Yeah.
For that part in the director's cut. I know it's a little bit of work, but it's well worth it.
Excellent. And related to that note, I'll just go ahead and grab that because it's related to what you just said, Jimmy. Someone's asking how do you get pages to appear in the RSS feed. Currently, there's a pretty decent plugin called RSS Includes Pages. I think that's the one that Sue uses.
Somebody just told me that wasn't working.
Okay.
So I went back and I asked our programmers to include pages in our one feed.
Yeah. And I knew that I was going to get to that one. And I know that ours has that, but there's so many people asking when it's going to be released here. I was trying to avoid giving them an option. We're almost done with it, folks. I know that a lot of you are like, when's it going to be done? We are really close, and that will have pages in it. Plus, it also has sticky at top, which is great. That's something Jimmy put in for everybody because, there's certain things you want to just have them not, when you're posting and your feed kind of runs and churns and burns, you don't keep the same post at the top, so you'll be able to choose things that you want to just keep at the top for SEO purposes. I have never had any problem with RSS Includes Pages. Maybe the new WordPress version is conflicting.
I didn't go back and try it personally.
Okay, you did. Yeah, I have used it pretty consistently, but I have not used it with the new version of WordPress. So that might be.
That might be the issue.
Somebody's asking how much will the one feed supercharger be when it comes out, and it'll be super, super affordable, Mike. We'll figure out. Yeah. We're still working that out, so it's going to be well within reach with anyone.
So Damien asked a second part to his original question, which is. a one-feed advanced, is one-feed advanced in no-follow structure?
Good question.
I would be tempted to
It will vary. It just varies on the platforms that the RSS feed goes out to. So, you can have a mix of it, but, even with no follow, it's still going to increase rankings. So remember that basically your trust is still going to get pushed through no follow, even if the power does not. So just be aware of that when you're using no follow. I still, if it's a very trusted, authoritative site, I don't care if it's no follow or do follow, I still will utilize them. I
want to pause what Jimmy just said because it's one of the most important things ever that I've learned from him, and I've tested this in the field consistently since he taught it to me. Did you guys catch that? Trust. When you're thinking no follow, there's a lot of controversy. Okay, there's no follow versus follow and all this, but he just said that no follow passes trust. Does everybody get that? Just give me a one so I can make absolutely clear that that's one of the huge takeaways. And that is a complete contrarian view of still, believe it or not, 80% of the SEO industry. Okay, so it's the trust that's still getting passed on, okay? And there's other aspects of it too as well, but for me that's the big one. Excellent. So it looks like everybody gets that one, Jimmy.
Cool. There was one other question. David asked about vKraken. Should we demo that real fast?
Oh yeah, I was wondering, he was asking how does vKraken work. He was also asking if vKraken was part of the one-feed system or could be used as part of the one-feed system. I'll let you guys answer that. those are loaded questions.
He was actually asking if it was part of DAS.
Oh, I'm sorry, part of DAS, my error, yeah.
And it's, DAS is a completely separate thing because DAS is offsite and vSilo is onsite. Well, or vKraken, sorry, is onsite. It was vKraken, yes, about right? Yeah.
Yes, it was vKraken.
So let me just show you vKraken for a second. What vKraken does is it allows you to continually add new content to your website. So if you've got a static PBN or any kind of a PBN or supporting blog, you can set this up so that it will auto-publish. So you can come in here to your settings. I'll do a video and show you the whole ins and outs of it. You can come in here and you can set up how you want to have stuff display in your posts. And then you can come in here and you can add new structures. So you can add silo pages from here, or you can add your post pages. So if I've already got silos on this blog already, so it shows you your silo structure here. And I can just add new keywords. I can also import keywords from Kraken if I want to. Like, that can make it get really out of hand. Like, I would be cautious with it.
Yeah, we have special hosting that we set up for that, which is available to you guys. But just keep in mind we had to build a special hosting business just to be able to host these things because you can have 1 million pages in short order over the course of a year.
So the new version of vKraken is going to allow you to post in days. So you can just set it so that this will post every day or two rather than get out of hand. You could even set it so that it posts every 30 days, and then you're just going to get 1 or 2 blog posts a month. And
that'll push it through the one feed, which of course you'll have set up properly. So at least you got something happening. If you're on shared hosting, you don't want to do 50 videos an hour if you're on shared hosting, guys. That's why we also we teach caution when you're on shared hosting accounts.
So if I come in here and I add this keyword to, I had SEO, but I also had search engine marketing. I thought search engine optimization, online marketing. Let's do this. So underneath my silo of SEO, I'm going to put in search optimization. So what it's going to do is it's going to go out to YouTube and look for videos that are about search optimization, and it'll add them once every 30 days. I can humanize this so that it's plus or minus 20%, so 25 to 35 days. And then I can click start, and it'll go out, it'll add one immediately, and then 30 days later, roughly, it'll add another one. So the cool thing, I'll just show you Kraken for a nanosecond here. Let me see if I've got a recent e-cigar. I think that was a pretty recent drill. One of the cool things that we added to this were the number of YouTube videos. So you can come in here and you can take a look at what your keywords are and how many videos, and make sure that you've got enough videos to be able to keep your site going for quite a while. So
general recommendation there, sorry Sue, is 5,000 or greater I've found.
Well, yeah, but you post like 30 posts a day.
Yeah, that's true. Even if you have like 30 posts an hour on some of the sites. But even if you have like, you know, if you have less than 5,000 and it's a topic that's very hot and very viral, then you can pick it, because usually more stuff will be uploaded. But that's just a general rule of thumb. But you're right, if it's every 30 days, 5,000 is fine. I've never actually built a blog where it posted every 30 days.
Much too tame for you, I understand.
She's being conservative so you guys don't blow yourself up on shared hosting. But
exactly.
But if you do something, if you're going to do something every hour, every day, folks, just make sure that you have your own server or some scalable hosting, either ours or someone's.
Talk to us about hosting if you're going to do that.
Yeah, be careful.
But this, like, just once every, I don't know, like, I tell my clients that they got to post at least twice a week if they want to have content coming to their money sites. But if you've got like a PBN or something like that, then just posting once a week or a couple times a month is enough to keep a heartbeat going to your blog. And that's really what you're looking for, so that Google doesn't think that it's dead and forgotten.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard rumors that Cotton was doing something naughty on subdomains like that, like every 3 weeks or something. Oh, I wasn't supposed to say that.
So,
I didn't say that.
Any other questions there that we need to address?
Looks like we're pretty good.
Right.
You guys...
We'll come back here.
Yeah, we'll come back to that. I think we got the major coverage on Video Kraken. We have the one feed, and we have most of the desk questions.
I'd like to know if there's an easy way to change your IP and MAC address. Yeah. So there are these two things that I've used and how they work. I'll just drop them in here to you guys so that you can get the links rather than having to type them off my...
Hey everyone, let's just take a quick community tally. How many of you are already using IP masking of some kind on your desktop? Give me a 1 and 2 if you're not. You haven't made a decision or you're just not. Okay. Okay, it's about...
Well, as we went into, I think it was last week, most of these guys don't actually... Oh, that was actually something that I shot to David.
I'm actually surprised about how many people are using something, but most are not.
Yeah, I mean, unless you've got... If you've got multiple Google accounts, then you want to be careful. You want to flush your cookies and get rid of your history as you move from Google account to Google account. If you're doing something that is against Google's terms of service, which is attempting to manipulate PageRank, which are do-follow links from, say, a PBN to one site that you own to another site that you own, then the site that's got the do-follow link to the money site, I don't have anything oriented to Google around that, right? There's no Google Analytics, there's no Google Webmaster Tools, there's no Google account, and if there's nothing that Google can run, then they can't see what it is that you're doing. Like, they can't just look into your blog logs. So, so hiding your IP address is a moot point in that case.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's really, what you're saying is it's good for people to be thinking about what they're actually doing, and if it's something that would even really be trackable, like obviously inside of the blog it's not anything that's going to be tracking. People, Ken Smith is asking, well, how do you feel about Chrome? I mean, do you just automatically presume that they're tracking every single thing with Chrome?
I do not use Chrome.
Okay.
I don't use Chrome as a browser, and I mean it's not even loaded on my computer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So and I don't do anything like that on like some of the the mobile devices and stuff that have Chrome on them. I don't do anything like that on a mobile device.
And the reason for that, folks, is that Chrome, and you'll hear Sue, I hope I can say this pretty much, but we've kind of established that, for example, especially Chrome incognito there's no such thing as incognito. It's like 100%.
All of them incognito. They don't actually do what you might hope that they do.
You're hoping that they're actually, here, we promise that we'll make you private. Trust us.
Where did this all originate from, Russ?
Google Skyfall update. That was Jimmy and Sue's whole update and the testing. It really got to the point where, as I spent hours and hours with Sue and Jimmy listening to them go back and forth with Patton and then trying to make my own contributions, but it started to turn into a little bit of a paranoid fest, because it becomes quite evident that, especially when you use some of the browser tracking software, actually we gave you guys an example of that. It's actually on our public blog, where you can actually track all the sites that are getting information with the site that you're on, and then the browsers, of course, have a significant role to play. At the end of the day, there's not a single thing in terms of your privacy that is sacred at all to any of the companies, the sites, the services, the browsers, and the search engines. So just keep that in mind when you're building your networks, that if it can be tracked, it probably is being tracked. The only uncertainty is the specifics of how that data is going to be used, for example, to expose a private blog network or to expose the fact that you set up multiple profiles. And I think Sue's advice is the best. Just remember that there are institutions and agencies that have 1 or 2 IP addresses in the most, and they're building lots of profiles, or there's a library where people are logging in all the time. You might have 20 or 30 students at a high school, or even more at a given time. So the idea here is just to keep a real-world understanding about what's actually tracked, and what would be in Google's best interests, and how to just protect yourself from going too extreme and exposing the things that you're doing. Does that make sense, Sue?
Here's some things to ponder too, just so I can rant a little bit.
Yeah, you go ahead and rant. You go.
So, you guys, I don't know how many of you keep up on the news and stuff. You guys remember when Google was getting hit with the antitrust from the government?
Yeah.
Okay, so shortly thereafter, they magically dropped that case against them, and then in came them awarded to help them figure out terrorist activity using people's activity.
Right.
So, and now what you see in the patent, this latest Penguin patent, is their ability to track everything all the way down to your MAC address, basically.
Yeah. And
so magically, the suit gets dropped against them as soon as they win that DoD contract. So I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I mean, folks, the fact that, and coming from both Sue and Jimmy have military Department of Defense background. Sue has a software development background with the military, the Department of Defense. The team that's working with you here, like these guys are, Sue and Jimmy's skill sets in this department are huge. One thing I would say is that it is no secret at all that Google is now officially NSA. Now, when you look at that and you cross...
No, you can't say that.
No. We shouldn't make them too paranoid.
Oh, sorry. I can't say that? Okay.
Well, somebody is asking...
NSA.
What?
Somebody is asking what is a MAC address. So...
Oh, I have an article right here that says that it's public knowledge. Sorry.
But they're not NSA. That's what you just said.
They have a contract with the NSA?
Oh, they have a contract with NSA, yes.
Oh, okay. Sorry. All right, you go ahead. Yeah, what was that one, Jimmy?
So,
somebody was asking what's a MAC address?
Okay.
A MAC address is a number that is burnt into your network card. It's a one-to-one identifier with your computer.
Yep, and like modems have them, routers have them, right, Sue?
Routers have them, network cards have them.
Okay, because I have a modem right here from the Dish Network. I'm at my condo right now, and it's got MAC address on it on a sticker.
Okay. I'm mostly concerned about the one on my computer.
Gotcha. So you don't have to worry about anything else. Like, well, for example, I had questions
Because
from
multiple people can access a router and a
Got it.
modem.
Okay. So that's why you're saying there's no need to really worry about a MAC address on a router.
Right.
Like a high school or something like that has like hundreds of students using one, right?
Yep, libraries, yep.
Gotcha.
All right. So
Unless you have Google Fiber. Oh, no, sorry.
I wouldn't do that either. I just wouldn't do that either. Yeah, they
got everything
on the universe, right? All right, so let's like pull out of the. Let's get back to SEO.
Okay.
Sorry, I just went off on a tangent there.
Yeah, I know. Okay. There's going to be Kraken update. Yeah, there's a vCraken update. Just about ready to come out. Okay, so I just need more hours in the day, guys. Your first video, Director's Cut. Russ, I think this was your video for the intro, profile, and setup. There's a chart that goes from 1 to 9, but 7's missing.
Really? I must have been drunk. Let me see. I have to remember what. There's a chart that goes from 1. Oh.
My guess is it was just inadvertently.
Huh. Paul, could you, yeah, I'll have to look at that. I didn't really recognize that number 7 was missing. I'm wondering if he's talking about the 5-iframe punch, in which we no longer embed Storify into the blog.
Well, that's probably what happened. We probably just didn't get something into the
we gave you guys a file that's still, it's really, really good. The one thing that has changed is that we no longer embed Storify stories in a particular category in the blog using the Storify embed function. I hope that's what you're talking about, Paul. And the reason for that is they just became, Paul is saying it's not. Okay, so I'm wrong. Never mind.
Okay.
I really don't know what you're talking about. I'll have to sort that out, Paul. If you could ping me or somehow get with me on Skype, I will try to fix that. I really don't know what you're speaking about. I'll look at it.
Okay.
Somebody would like me to finish my sentence on Storify. One of our process maps in the 5-iframe punch, perhaps you guys remember it, is we would embed Storify inside of a static blog. I don't mind doing that on the second layer of our networks, but we don't do that anymore on the first layer because Storify got too undependable. They got too undependable. Sheesh. I need another cup of coffee soon. I did not sleep at all last night, like I had 2 hours. There's just the servers continually go down. The company was in too much growth, and then when Livefire purchased them, they got so unstable that you just really don't want iframes on your first ring, on your primary money site and or blog that are not going to have the uptime because it just makes you look bad. It drags you down. Sue never liked it in the beginning. She told me not even to put it in there the first time, but it did it anyways. And then predictably it failed as usual. So that was my idea. It was a bad idea, so we took it out. And we don't recommend that you embed other people's secondary platforms in your primary blog anymore. You know, you try stuff, and Sue just was like, "Okay, you're going to do what you're going to do." It was on there. I mean, I did get some rankings from it. It was kind of weird because I would change the header and the topic, but even then, Storify would tend to outrank my own blog more or less. So it was just, we removed that from the 5-iframe punch. So just, guys, don't embed your Storify story inside your money blog. If you have secondary blogs on your secondary layers, that might be a little bit better. Like sometimes I'll put it in a pin bid site or something like that.
Okay, so Damien asks a really great question. How fast can I, or how slow should I, build a DAS stack to a brand new, small local niche website? Mr. Kelly?
Jimmy.
Well, that's a good question. I just kind of try and go slow and steady on the clusters. Like I'll do one cluster straight off the bat, and then the next week I'll do the next cluster, and the third and fourth week I'll do the third cluster. And then it ties in with adding on that extra page. The second month, by the time you go back through and do it, then it's ready to go. I've also done it where I just slap it all together all at once and haven't had problems with it. But again, it depends on how big, you're going to make it. So I would be conservative, but I wouldn't worry about necessarily just doing a certain amount of links per day. You know, if you're making it kind of randomized, and that's usually what I try to focus on is, you know, nobody's going to have links going every day, and nobody's going to, you know, and it wouldn't be obvious unless you got social and traffic going at the same time to get a ton of links overnight. So, you know, I just do the first cluster the first week, do the second cluster second week, and then the third one the third week. And then that'll ramp you up to month 2 where you can start adding on to those other clusters. And then usually month 2 I just add on all those pages on the back end all at once. I don't typically wait for those.
Scott asked an interesting question. Do the second and third clusters point to the same inner page as the first cluster?
Yes, they do. And, you know, the example of the first cluster, the second and third, you want to swap up your anchor text going in. You also want to swap properties too. Like, you don't want to have two Weeblies pointing at the same page. You want to, you know, pick different sets for each of your clusters and then just go with that.
Cool. No, the screen's not frozen. It's just I haven't done anything with it recently. We're reading off of a different questions list. All right. So this is also a DAS question, so don't think that you can relax, Mr. Kelly. Do you see good results using the DAS system on an already established money site with PR links, etc., already pointing to it? I've had sites that are ranking pretty well.
Oh,
and I'm hoping
yeah, typically.
I'll push them.
In most cases, I would say it depends on how many links they have, because there's some things, you know, so the more links that are pointing to a page, it's going to pull that trust flow down a lot. You know, like the more links you have, the lower the trust flow is going to get pushed through, because that's just how it gets divided up on that page. So typically it works easier if you don't have as many. But I've certainly seen it help. You know, sites that are clean and have links, you'll still see a push from it typically. Sites that you won't see it work on, you know, ones that have been burned or have, you know, 8,000 links going to it, like typically pushing trust to those is not, you're not going to see a huge boost from that, just because you have to pile on a lot more trust to counter all the other low trust links that are going to it.
A couple people have asked you if you could show that on a process map. I'll leave that up to you guys. I'm just reading the questions.
Yeah, so that's back to the last question where I was afraid of that, where Scott was asking the second and third clusters, do they point to the same inner page?
Yeah, I don't think people can really visualize this.
Yeah, I was having problems following the visualization. So.
Yeah. Jimmy, do you care to expand on a diagram? Or?
What do you mean?
What do you mean?
Yeah, I can.
Get up here with me. Get into your giant frontal lobes. Can't you see it? I'm broadcasting my mind. It's telekinesis.
Right?
Okay.
Right, give me, where's my little crazy arrow?
Okay, you guys have 22 minutes to complete this exact map. Ready? Go.
Right?
Ooh, wow, someone just got nasty with me. Sorry, no more joking for you.
Well, I'm trying to find...
He's always in a little bit of a bad mood.
I can't find my crazy red arrow. That's unfortunate.
Oh, that's sad.
I know people don't like my crazy red arrow.
I can't live without the red arrow if I don't see that like once per day.
Right?
I know.
Like something's not happening.
It's very sad. All right. Let me see if I can get this up and going. It's just easier to point to what you're looking at on the cluster when there's all the properties is the only reason I want to pull it up. Even though I go kind of, you know, psychotic with it. Okay. So when you're linking into your money site, you know, preferably you guys have this siloed. It'll still work if you want to send these to one page only, because you're still only looking, like in this example, you'd only have like for links coming into the money site. But you want to make sure that with your second and third clusters, go pick other properties like, this might not be, there's a lot of different 2.0s. You can do like live journal and, you can do, what's the one, about.me in here. There's a lot of different ones that you can add into the mix. So when you're coming in for the second and third cluster, you want to make sure that each of these properties are different. So I'm not going to use a Weebly, but I'm going to try and find a Weebly that's similar to it, right? So there's a lot of different 2.0 that are contextual type stuff out there that you can swap it out with. And you can find those high DA sites using that moz.com/top500, I think was the URL that we put into the course to help you look for other suitable high domain authority sites to use. And then when I come in to link to this, if I use Green Smoke product review for 2015, I'm going to use a different type of long tail the next time. So this coincides a lot with the way Greg teaches when he's linking from a PBN to the money site. You want to continually switch it up. The way that you get your keyword in the URLs, if you've already done that, typically the safest thing to do is just link out either using the URL of the money site, or you want to link out using the a different long tail version of that keyword you're trying to push. So those are the two that we recommend. And if I'm going after something competitive, and obviously your clusters get a lot bigger and you need more clusters, I usually start linking in with more broader terms. So I might just go green smoke, for instance, or I might do something about the brand, use the brand name URL or something like that. So you try to go after more market level keywords here as well if it hasn't done it. But like when you're doing local clients, or if you're doing smaller keywords or medium keywords, typically that's all you have to do is just go in with different long tail variations for each cluster. So on the second cluster, whatever property you chose here, you're going to link up to this page using something different than what this was the first time around.
Excellent.
So Ken's asking if anything links to the home page in a cluster. And I was telling him that the way that we first described this in the videos, because you were combining the 5 iframe with the DAS, you were putting the Facebook, Twitter, and Yelp to the home page, right?
Correct. So this can be your home, like it depends on how big your niche is, right? So this one was targeting a specific silo. So this site specifically is going to be all about like e-cigarettes. And there's all these different brands. You can do Bull Smoke and V2 and Vaporfy and Green Smoke and so on and so forth. So I want to, I know that this isn't going to be the only keyword that I'm ever going to go after. I know once the one I pick is going to start making money, I want to start working on the other brands to try and keep building that overall, once you get money, it's easier to put more out to try and get more of the silos going. But typically if I'm doing something in the meantime, like on this one, I might do like a press release on this. I might do we have the one feed set up, and so that's going to help get other types of traffic and whatever internally links going back to these pages. There's going to be, I like to do social links. So I like to add some social here, and you also have the one feed. The one feed setup, you'll still get link juice going to there. So typically with those 4 methods, this will start building juice on its own just by doing that. But it's more of a branded play more than I don't try to send keywords to my homepage usually, unless it's super, super niche specific. So like if I know that my homepage is only going to rank for 1 or 2 keywords, then this is going to shift from the page over to the homepage.
Okay.
Excellent.
All right, so while we're here on this diagram, Ganesh asked if we could provide a quick and easy version of DAS for somebody just getting started in SEO. Would you say that that'd be like the 5 iframe punch?
Say that again? Are you asking me a question?
Yeah. Ganesh was asking.
Oh.
You talking to me?
Ganesh was asking if you could provide a quick and easy version of DAS for someone just starting out in SEO.
Why is everybody giving us ones? We didn't even ask a question. Okay.
And I was wondering if you wouldn't consider the 5 iframe punch like a quick and easy version of DAS.
Yeah, I mean the 5 iframe punch is a quick and easy version of DAS. You know, with the version that we put out in Network Empire, basically what it's trying to do is get people to understand more concept-based stuff. So when you know the concepts of what's going on, you know, when you're looking at, you know, you need high DA, and you're going to include power, and you're going to include other high DA going to these. Once you know that process, I mean, you can see it anytime you're doing link building. And that's what I was trying to get to with that course, is I want people to understand, like, you know, like why is it you go and buy PBNs? Well, PBNs have a mix of both trust and power mixed in from the start, but it doesn't have as much trust as some of these properties would have, but it definitely has the power associated with it. So that's something I really want to try and get across to people, was I'm trying to get people to think, you know, when you go and build a link, look at how the link juice flows on that page and where it's going and how you might be able to manipulate that more. You know, like there's a lot of ways to actually hide the link juice that you do. So if you have a competitor and some niche that keeps being a jerk and reporting your links or whatever, you can find other ways to just hide those links, and so you'll be ranking for stuff and people are like, well, there's no, you know, there's no links to this page. Like, you know, for instance, you know, you look at this one. So, you know, and this was mostly just like a test thing. You can see this page here. So it's just number 3, and it's been sitting here for a while. I implemented this during an update, so it just kind of popped up out of nowhere. So that way competitors are like, they just attribute it to the update more or less, so they're not too concerned with it. But if you go and you look at the backlinks on it, you know, there's not really much going on here. No anchor text was found for this, but yet it's number 3 for its keyword. So, you know, your competitors can only report what's actually in the SERPs. So if they can't find your backlinks or things like that, then they can't actually report it for you to get into trouble if you're doing more black hat type stuff. So, but it's important to learn how link juice flows on a page, I guess. End rant.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so Adrian asks, he's just checking, but imagines that use the same Twitter and Facebook account in different stacks. That a couple people asked that question actually.
Is that another question for me?
Yeah.
Read that again. Yeah, I'm having a hard time because I don't have it up on the screen.
Just checking, but I imagine that you use the same Twitter and Facebook account in the different stacks.
So there's a difference. So let's try and think of it. Well, let's look at a Twitter. Let's look at a Twitter page real quick so people can see this. Somebody got a Twitter page that they use, that they tweet on?
ThemeZoom. Twitter.com, I think it's /ThemeZoom. Whoops.
Whoops. Tweeter. Okay. All right. Okay, here we go.
Page.
What?
Okay. So when you're looking at this,
sorry,
this might help people see like what I'm looking at when I look at a page. So, for instance, let's say this is the Twitter page here. Okay. So in this example, we'll go back over to this Twitter page. If your goal is to send it to the home page, then you're going to send it to this URL, right? You guys all see that up here. So if the goal is to boost the home page, you're going to send it to that. But let's say it's an inner page that you're doing. So you're going to get on your Twitter and you're going to go tweet something for the page that you want to do. And of course, we like to add in extra high DA URL shorteners because that's another piece of a stack, right? So I don't know what Ali is, but
It's a Hootsuite's link shortener.
Let's see what this looks like here. It scrolled through it too quickly there.
It does pass. You checked it with me once. It does direct.
But you can see it hung on to that metric there for a short time, so you had a 92 in there. So I'll stop that so it stops trying to find it. So anyways, so you'll go out and you'll tweet. So you could go and you could grab, whatever you want. You could do, bit.ly is the most common one that people know about. So you could go in and we're going to go get a page somewhere. Okay, so we would just grab this URL and you go over to bit.ly or whatever, paste it in, shorten it, and then you got your bit.ly link. So you could take this, you cruise back over to your Twitter page, right, and you're going to do a tweet. Now, that tweet or the page that we just copied should be wherever you're trying to direct the juice, right, when we shortened it. So it might be this page, it might be some other silo page that you're trying to target or channel the juice through. And so when you look at that and you come back over here, you would grab this URL here, right? So this is different than the home page of it. It's not twitter.com /ThemeZoom anymore. This is the actual individual Twitter tweet. So, and you can get the same thing on Facebook when you do a post, and you can get the same thing if you're doing like Pinterest. Like most of them will have their own unique URL for that individual social signal that you're trying to do. So then with this in your stack, this would be our target URL when we refer to Twitter, right? So when you come back over to here, if this was a specific page we're trying to do, then this would be, hopefully that makes sense. This would be the target for that. So, and that's one thing I want you guys to really grasp. With domain authority stacking, you can see you have 100 DA right here, but this DA even pulls from the ThemeZoom to begin with, right? So let's look at how this flows here. So you have, whoops. So you have 100 DA, and this is coming off of, well, this is a status now. Didn't go back to the home. Okay, so you have your main Twitter page. So the green highlight on here means it's a do-follow link. So if you power this up, that do-follow juice is going to flow down through, and to get to this individual tweet, you just click on the time or the date, depending on how long ago you tweeted it. You click on that, so juice flows to this page here, right? So if there were links going to this other page, then this PA would actually be higher. Like we've seen this be like a 56 in most cases, and so all your tweets are getting powered up right off the bat. And so from here, if you send a part of a DAS stack going into this, then you just added more DAM power to this specific tweet, and that's going to push that trust down through another shortener, which is a 301 that then goes to your specific silo page that you're trying to promote. And by the way, this is part of what Social Explosion does automatically, right? So we rotate through shorteners, and all this process is actually done already for you. So you don't have to go out and do the tweets and the shortening and all that, but it goes out to like hundreds of different accounts, so you don't have to sit there and do that on your own Twitter army. I mean, you're certainly welcome to, but it's already in place and makes it a lot easier. So that's what I want you guys to grasp kind of when you're looking at, even though you're seeing this part here, Facebook, just realize that it really depends on where your target is. If it's going to an inner page, well, obviously on your main account, that's going to, let's go back one. On your main account, right, that's going to that main home page over here when you set up that initial account. So it's always got that juice going to it. But if it's not your home page, you need to create a different URL so you can channel that a different way.
Yeah, and also, folks, don't ever use a picture that bad. Hey, Jimmy, I have a question for you on this. Specifically with Twitter, because the t.co is automatically inserted domain-wide, do you consider that a double? Is that a double redirect because of that, or is there any?
Yeah, that's a double redirect. So
that's fine though, right?
It goes to the t.co, t.co goes to URL.
Okay.
Yeah, that's perfectly. Well, I've said in the past it doesn't count, but it does.
Okay.
Technically, you can go up to 5 redirects, but realize that you're losing a little bit of juice each time you jump on a redirect.
Okay. And so I just wanted to toss that out there for you guys, that Twitter is a specific, like none of the other social platforms at this time do what Twitter does, which automatically, even if you use link shorteners like in the Hootsuite information we showed you, where it's auto-posting or the one feed's posting, Twitter, no matter what link shortener you use, will always add its own link shortener regardless. So you've got a double whammy happening there, just specifically on Twitter. Pinterest does not do that. Neither do the other bookmarklets. So just keep that in mind. Does that make sense to everyone? Give me a 1 if that makes sense. Okay, good.
Okay, so Chris asked a question. As it scrolls by the screen here, hang on a second. Would you recommend a blog on the main site? This is for a local demolition company site, and they don't post anything. I had a client that was a dumpster service, and they also had a really tough time trying to find content to post. And I actually think demolition might be a little bit easier than dumpsters, but yes, I would probably put it on a subdomain. Don't worry about the fact that it's not on the same subdomain as the static site. So I'd put it on like news or blog or something like that, .whateversite.com, and get them to post as regularly as possible, and just to post about concepts that are related to demolition, even if it's not directly demolition. So yeah, and if you can get some short videos of demolitions that they're doing and stuff like that, like get a little bit more active, like that's awesome. But I know that can be like pulling teeth. It actually took a couple of years before my client actually figured out ways that he could get regular blog posts going on. So, all right, let me take the screen back, and we will do the next question. All right, so this is a question that came in on the scroll from Lorraine, and she is asking about HTML verification for Webmaster Tools. So let me just ask you guys, give me a 1 if any of you guys are also having problems with getting verified with WebMaster tools? And if so, we'll go ahead and do a quick demo, and if not, then I'll just get back to her personally.
Well, I have a demo going to David Mills today that I've created.
Oh,
offline.
awesome.
So you don't really need to do it on this call.
Okay,
We promised it last week. The delay is my own because I wanted to give you guys a comprehensive list, but because there are 2 different ways you can do it. So you can expect that to be uploaded to the director's cut in the next 24 hours.
Beautiful. All right. So, silo question. Using the site, you've helped Mike, the Olivia Wilde site. I noticed that you had a silo named Olivia Wilde. Now, if I were doing SEO for Joe'sDentureClinic.com, would I have another silo named Denture Clinic? I would not. So, like, let's just look at this for a second. So, like, what ends up happening here is that you've got Denture Clinic, and then you've got Denture Clinic. And so that means you've got your primary keyword in the URL string twice already. And you're just asking for over-optimization penalty when you do something like that. I think the reason why we did a silo of Olivia Wilde is because it's just kind of like we were up against a rock in a hard place, like, how many things do you talk about Olivia Wilde? So I guess we could have gone into some of her filmography or something, but at the time we were just trying to put something together pretty quickly, so we actually used her name as a silo. I wouldn't look at that as solid SEO practices. The reason behind placing a blog on a subdomain, somebody asked regarding the last dumpster demolition question. It largely has to do with Google Analytics. I don't like the way that Analytics, when you put it as a folder underneath an existing site, I don't like what Analytics does to that domain. I have a really tough time. I mean, you can separate them out, but it's kind of an advanced maneuver in Analytics to see what's actually going on. So I stick it on a subdomain. And because Google treats an entire domain as a single site, so if you have subdomains, the activity and the domain authority that's created in one particular subdomain, it lends itself to the entire domain. It's not an issue. So there's other reasons. For example, you can have a blog role. You can have a single instance of a WordPress install and have a static site, and then have a blog role as a folder or as a silo. And I don't like that either, because you end up having a really tough time trying to get the silo structures to work across the 2 entities correctly, and then you're stuck with the same theme for both and the same plugins, and that also just really annoys the heck out of me. So in having had, I don't know, hundreds of setups of these things, I've just found that the best thing is to have your static site, your money site, I tend to call it, rather than a static site. You have your money site on one subdomain, and you have your blog on another subdomain. All right. So the next question, a silo structure question. Seen a lot of software systems. If I have a niche site silo menu structure that I cannot get down the vertical market from the silo to category post, would it be best to move some silos to categories in the posts? Okay, so you got a niche and your silo menu structure, you're having a tough time, where you've got the vertical market and the silo landing pages probably, and so you're having a tough time getting from silo to category to post within the same structure. So in other words, it's like you need a 4th layer. So a lot of times what I will do with that is I will make subdomains my 4th level to get around that. It means more blogs, but sometimes it works out really well that way. So that particularly happens if you're doing like states or cities or suburbs or something along that line. Social explosion still doesn't work for pages yet, no. Did a flurry of questions come along related to that, Russell?
Well, you mean just now?
Yeah, I thought I saw it scrolling over on the side.
Well, not related to that.
If you have your money site in one subdomain and a blog on another subdomain, would you not then have the site on the domain itself? You know, I tend to, for that question, let me just go back up to that for a second.
Trying to think about what reason
here, so
what reason you would have for doing that.
I would tend to do www.mysite.com, and then I would do like news.mysite.com so this would be your money site, and this would be my blog. I meant news. But this can be whatever you want to call it as a subdomain. I don't do anything that's just mysite.com without, I always have at least the www in the front of it, if that makes sense. And there are technical reasons for that, why it, that gets into traffic hospital type conversations, but just know that's the way, that's really the best way to protect your ass. When building out a blog on a subdomain, we would have completely different silo pages from the money site. No, I actually mirror those same topics from the money site onto the blog. And then keywords don't have to be the same on the post level. Let me pull up my trusty dusty little thingy diggy here. So what I might do is let's do this, www.mysite.com/SEO, and then on my site I would, like maybe underneath this silo for category pages, I might have search engine rankings and social media marketing or whatever, media links. And so then on my blog, under my SEO silo, I'm going to use related keywords, but typically not exactly the same keywords, right? So instead of search engine rankings, I would go look for those related terms in Kraken where you can do the LSI terms and come up with other ways of expressing those kinds of ideas. So maybe instead of search engine rankings, I might have SEO rankings or search rankings, that kind of an idea. All right. For the blog site, instead of news, can one use a pure diverse keyword? Absolutely. You can make that whatever you want to. So if you want to make that more, when it comes to your blog, if you want to make that more oriented to a money keyword, you can do that. Sure.
That's the Jimmy Kelly domain filter in the TLKT too, by the way.
Exactly. All right, Chris is getting back to the demolition site with the blog on a subdomain. Is it okay for them to use vSilo? Yeah, that kind of a site, that probably wouldn't be too bad. The one thing that I watch for, particularly on money sites, blogs off of money sites, vSilos off of money sites, is you've got the opportunity to get competitors in there. So, but where it's a site where they got a tough time coming up with blog posts, that's not too bad an idea. Can you use the Yoast SEO plugin together with the AnySilo plugin? You're not actually talking the Yoast SEO plugin. You're talking the Yoast video plugin, Damien. to get the thumbnail to show up in the SERPs, and you want to stay away from that. Grab the new version of our plugins coming out, and you won't need that. All right.
Yeah, I mean,
so,
I could say a couple of things about that, only if you wanted me to.
Guys, what do you, give me a 1 if you want Russ to talk more about that, and a 2 if we want to like move on to these. I'm feeling pushed with the questions, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, video thumbs aren't very important, even though they get 80% higher click-throughs.
Yeah, but you can get it.
No, they're not interested in it. No, you're right. You call it, okay. They don't want it.
Okay, so Kim asks a whole series of questions here. What's the difference between a DAS stack and a cluster? Mr. Kelly, are those synonymous?
So a cluster is like what you build out, but the DAS stack, I would say, if you're looking at it from just one piece of that cluster.
Okay.
So for instance, if you're doing a stack to like your Weebly, like when you come back through and you add more 2.0 links, PR links, bookmarks to that specific property, that's what I typically refer to as a stack. Okay. Because in that way you're kind of tiering that specific property in the DAS cluster.
This is just not gonna. This is not a viable tool for drawing an image. All right, good. The next question. I'm confused about 3 clusters in the training video. I understand the first cluster, which is shown in the diagram, but what are the second and third clusters?
Those are ones that you go out, right? So if you go to see if I can pull it up here. I guess I should share my screen again, huh?
Yeah, you should.
Oh, don't worry, I'll get the red arrow out. Okay, can you see the screen? Give me a 1 if you see the screen. Okay.
Yep.
All right, so when you're looking at this, so your first DAS cluster, so there's a few properties in here already, right? So we have, in this we have Yelp, Twitter, Facebook as an example. So the other properties that you need for the first month, you have 1 Weebly property, and then you have 1 Blogger and 1 Pure Volume. So those ones are mostly just the benefit of being able to link out to multiple places. Specifically this one, you know you have to link out to 3 places, and so you're typically looking for a contextual type 2.0 to be able to do that. You can do that on some of the image ones and stuff, but so I know that in my next cluster that I'm going to build, I need different properties on all of these. So I'm not going to use Yelp.com the next time around, right? I'm going to use something else. And so when you utilize, so this moz.com/top500, this is supposed to provide you a list with other high DA that you can use. Okay, so let's just go through one of these and look for, so you can see that Tumblr was one of the ones on our list, and you can kind of see its Moz rank is pretty high and the Moz trust is pretty high. And typically you're just looking for DA 80 plus. The further down in the stack you go, you know, like when you get to this level, I don't mind going down to 54 on my DA properties. So, but you want to start out with the highest in the back. So when you go and you pick your new ones coming through, you know, some of these you're not going to be able to put stuff on. I know I could definitely do a video because that's Vimeo. I could upload the video I put on YouTube over to there, and in that description, that might link over to. So if I did a video, I could put a video here in place of pure volume, because that's just a one-way link, right? So whatever I pick there, pure volume could be Vimeo, for instance, and then in the description of Vimeo, you're going to link over to your next property. And in Twitter, remember, I believe in the videos we said, go and get some citations built, right? So one of the citations that was built, you already have a lot of these already pre-populated. So, yellowbook.com might be one of the ones that got built with the order that you did. So instead of using the Twitter here, I could swap this out for the yellowpages.com. And so there's two different properties for my second stack. And the reason why we don't give a, where the heck is the, so you want to try and go through, and you're not going to be able to always use every single one, like Delicious, here's a bookmarking one. You can always do a bookmarking one. Here's Weebly that sits at the back of our stack. You have blogger.com. It's going through webs.com. So webs.com is a contextual one that you could use. LiveJournal, Jimdo. So all those can be used to substitute. So instead of blogger.com here, that could be jimdo.com. And it's going to be the same process. I mean, you make sure you get your keyword in the URL, and you can put up the pages like how we showed in the video, and you're just going to link to where they need to go for the clusters. So it's basically the same thing. You're just swapping out the properties for each cluster. So hopefully, does that make sense to everyone? Give me a 1 if that makes sense, or 2 if changing out the properties does not make sense. So it looks like most of you are getting it. So, let's say, so you have to replace the properties. I'll just try to do this simply. This is your first cluster. This picture here is your first cluster. So on your second cluster, what you're going to work on week 2, I'm not going to go out and build another Weebly because we already used that in cluster 1. So you want to go and pick out one of these other properties to use. So, I'd probably do webs.com in place of that one. So on the Weebly, my second cluster will be webs.com, and then I'll find one for Blogger. Whoops, I keep pulling up my email. Okay. So on the next one, I know it needs to be contextual to replace Blogger. LiveJournal is a contextual one. And you just kind of have to go in and look and see if it's a blog type site or not. Okay, like some of these you won't be able to go and actually get something on. So there's some other ones you can use if you're just looking for contextual type stuff. So if you go to like FCS911, like this does stuff automatically for you. This is a lot like RankWiz. I still use RankWiz, but I think just for purpose of showing other contextuals, like these icons here and stuff are a list of all the ones that they do. So right here, you could go through this list and create, any type of, just depending on what you're trying to look for. Go to FCS911 and go look at the sites they do, and just create. You'll go look at the DA. So, for instance, Let's just look at one here. I've never used this one. So let's go look and see what this is. Let's say I pick KIPT to work with. So I'm just going to cruise over and go try to find it. Okay, we're going to open it up. And we know that we could get links in here. The question is, what type of links are these? But it looks like it can be a blog. You know, if you just kind of look around on here, you might be able to find, well, let's see. You can go one step further. So we know this can be used because it's a DA of 64. So that's definitely above the 54 mark, which means it can go anywhere. It can go anywhere in the cluster. Okay. It wouldn't go at the very back because it's not high enough, but it just depends on which properties you're going to use to swap out. Okay, but we can go in and just to see an example, if it's a site for the piece you're looking for, like can you put an article up to link out 3 ways on it? You just do site : and you put the domain name. Just take out the HTTP portion. And typically you'll see ones at the top that are, if it's an account type thing, you'll be able to see one that's got, so here's one on Maria 407. So that one's gone. Well, and this might have been a bad one to pick too, so we don't know. So let's see, hacks. Yeah, see, so I'm not seeing many of these, but so I probably wouldn't pick that one if I wasn't familiar enough with the property to really determine what type of link you can pull out of it. So, you know, I would just go back. You can just go back to your FCS networker. Whoops. And maybe we would go and pick something else. You know, we'd be like, okay, well, let's try this one. So we'll do the same kind of search. You just do livejournal.com, and let's see if we can find someone's account. Oh no, they didn't. That's funny. Okay, so here you can see that this definitely is something contextually with. You can see that they can get some content and stuff in there. So, you know, they put up videos and they put little stuff under it. So you know that this is like a writable one since there's, you know, text on page. So, and typically you can just link out using these same type of properties. But the reason we don't define what you guys do for stacks, for all the stacks, I mean, we wanted to show one so you get the overall idea. But if we show the same stacks and everybody goes and does the same stack, then that's going to create a footprint. So a footprint, you know, if you use the same sites to get your rankings over and over and over again, eventually that just doesn't look natural. You do it too many times and it's going to be a footprint for Google. So they'll recognize that footprint and then they'll start dinging sites that have the exact same footprint across it. So that's why it's important to make sure that you're swapping up what your clusters look like each time you're linking to it. You know, and certainly if this is a different site, then you're going to be fine to start over with the same process, but just kind of keep track of what you're linking with for each of your clusters and make sure you're swapping those properties out. And the back of another question popped up, the back of the stack would be here. Okay, so this is the front of the stack over towards the Facebook, and then the back of the stack is typically towards the Weebly. So typically the higher the DA, the more trust it has. It's not always going to be the case. Like if you absolutely just want to get down to the details, you can go to your Majestic, okay, and you can put in the site that you're thinking you're going to choose. Okay, so you want to put in, so we'll put in Weebly.com, and we can see that this thing has a trust flow of 81. Okay, so now let's say it was between this and LiveJournal. So let's just see what LiveJournal is. Okay, so this is 78. So that's not much difference between the two. So you definitely could put LiveJournal even as a replacement for Weebly. You know, I'd feel comfortable putting LiveJournal at the back here. So, and then typically you go from highest trust flow to lowest because for each hop, you'll capture some of the trust flow from the one that's higher, added on to the one that you chose. Now, you don't get the full amount, you just get, these are parts of it as it goes down through the chain. So, and that's why I don't care too much about what's at the bottom, because then behind it you got two very trusted properties that feed into it, and then all of that goes to the money site.
Hey, I've had this question about 5 times so far, the Facebook, Twitter, and Yelp. Do you swap those out as well for different properties?
Swap it out for different, oh yes, yeah, these ones as well. So right now, remember, in the videos, I think we showed you, you can get this done on Fiverr, or you know, if you use Yext, you know, go, if you're not already, you can get a I think it's a partner account or something where you become a reseller. If you do that, you can get this service for $35 a pop. They say it's monthly, but really, once your listings are up, if you canceled that service for there, where you're not having to pay the $35 a month, it's not like they take down all your listings. They just put up all your listings for like $35. So I just go and order it. It puts all the listings up the way I want it and fixes it at the same time typically. And let's just see. So if you go to I have to go grab the phone number so we can look at this thing. And I'm looking at Qzx911 right now for those that don't know what I'm looking at. So just go paste this in. You can do a scan now. This is a good way for client stuff too. If you just want to see like how bad is their listings, you know, don't worry about the not standing out. That doesn't matter. But what does matter, if you ordered this and you get that reseller account, you can get all of these properties done for $35. Okay, so these are all high DA sites. You know, like go look at City Square. City Square is a DA of 61. Okay, so this 61, you know, it didn't actually go in here, right? This wasn't in the first part of the cluster. You can see we used Yelp here as one of the examples. So I know that I could come into any of those properties that we got from there. So whether you're using the Fiverr gig or whether you could go through and try to get the Yext account going, you can come in here and just pick any of these properties at the end, can swap out for that. And these are very important links as well. I always do these types of links no matter if it's an affiliate site or anything, because these type of links give you more of a presence in Google. You know, you're establishing an address. It's more of, I call them like branding type links. You know, they're not keyword oriented because you can only put in your website URL, but they're very trusted and very critical. You know, if you're trying to rank in Google local for fun, your most critical are going to be Facebook, Yelp, and Foursquare are typically your 3 most important ones to get if you're trying to rank in local. You know, your maps listings. So, but, you know, look at any of these ones that you're doing, and these ones also, you know, this is an 89. Okay, so, you know, and this can all, you know, hopefully you guys are seeing how all this ties into some of the other training I've done. It makes it very easy to kind of roll this stuff out without actually trying to do all this work manually yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah, like I throw this entire thing for Yext, like I order it all at once because these are brandable type links, and I know they'll get indexed as I incorporate them into the stack, into the DAS stacks. So yeah, I'm not afraid to pump these out all at once.
Cool. All right. A little bit off topic, but I've been having a little bit of back and forth with Lonnie. She's got a site that was ranking well, and it's dropped in the rankings recently. She wants to know if DAS is going to help to bring those rankings back. And I was telling her that it kind of depends on, she could be over-optimized or she might have a bad inbound link profile. But what are your thoughts?
Does she mind sharing the website? I could look at it and we could answer more questions while I pull it up.
Do you guys want to take a look at a website fast to see over-optimization and possible penalty? Give me a 1 if you want to do that, and a 2 if you want to move on to some of the other questions. All right, we got a lot of 1s going on there. Yeah, we got a whole bunch of 1s. We've had 1, 2. All right, let's do it. Lonnie, do you want to share your site? I guess I should have asked that question first, maybe. All right, good. She's up for it.
Y'all give her some social kudos and likes and pluses if she's got it on their site.
Yeah, impact-sports.com. So this is going to take a couple of minutes for Jimmy to run his magic. Shall I answer a few more questions, Mr. Kelly, while you're doing that?
And by the way, it is Mr. Lonnie Welch.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah. I just need the domain name of what we're trying to look at.
I thought you had it. Sorry. It's impact-sports.com.
Don't worry, Lonnie. She does that to me all the time.
Sports.me.
.com. Impact-sports with a Z. .com. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, I'll get this running while we answer some more questions.
All right, I'll grab the screen back for a minute. Bakeba.
George says, not all at once with the likes and pluses. I don't think it should matter. We'll test Lonnie's server array.
Right?
That's what you have a load balancer for.
Where were we at? To each of the pages. Dang, Kim, I'm sorry. Did we get? I think we got question 2. Yeah, we talked about question 2. All right. Do each of the pages within the silo link to each other? How does interlinking work? That's why I built the plugins, because it's interesting how this works. So let me just see if I can show you here a second. All right. So across the top, you've got your silo landing pages. And then down the side, as you go into one particular silo, over here you're going to have the contents of that silo. So for example, here under solar panels, you would have these 3 pages linked to each other. Now from the cost of solar panels, let me just go to solar panels for a minute. Obviously, from within solar panels, you're still going to have a link to all of the silo landing pages. So everywhere on your site, you link to the silo landing pages. But as you get down into one particular silo, you're only going to see the supporting articles within that silo. So when you're here in silo, in solar panels, you don't see the article in SEO and That's the only sub-article I've got. So you wouldn't see any of the articles in any of the others. Does that make sense? Guys, give me a 1 if that makes sense, and a 2 if that's blurry at all. All right, good. Jimmy, what do you use to rank? I can never remember the name of that tool. To track your rankings.
I usually just use CertBook because they have a key. It's not so accurate with like if you. I don't like its accuracy on like Amazon pages and stuff, but you know, if it's just like for client work or whatever, it does pretty good.
And you use some kind of a pinging service to make sure your links get indexed, right?
Yes.
And there's bunches of those out there. You can
indexification is what I will typically use.
Okay. How do you go about adding new content to your siloed site each month? So it depends. My money site I don't add to quite as often. It's because I'm looking for more evergreen content typically on that. But my blog, I add pages to regularly. Not necessarily so much pages, but at least posts. And I try to do at least 2 posts a month, which is one of the reasons why I went to that new Simple Silo plugin module. But even if I were using the older one, the 3-layer silo plugin, I would still add posts more often than I would add pages. How much of this stuff do you explain to clients? You know, I don't get into the technical nitty-gritty with clients because that's not what they're interested in. I focus, the technical nitty-gritty is like the drill, and what they're interested in is the hole that the drill makes, right? What they really want, their bottom line is they want more customers, they want to make more sales. So I couch everything to them in terms of what the benefits are, to them getting more clients, to them having more LTV, that kind of thing. The one exception to that is I will throw in enough stuff, like bleeding edge and technical stuff, so that they're aware that I'm not your standard SEO or online marketer. That, you know, I'm talking a whole different thing. I'll talk to them about keyword ROIs, right? So like you look at a keyword, and this is the return on investment that you're going to get, that you can anticipate getting. I don't make promises. It's all approximations. And when I talk to them about keyword ROI, and when I talk to them about the semantic web and where things are going, and when I talk to them about trust, like the trust in the web, what Google is looking for, and you equate trust from links from trusted sites as well as trust from being a bona fide person in Google, then you're talking a jargon that nobody else out there is using. So, you know, that sets you apart from everybody else, and it makes it really easy to close a sale. Once they're my client, I might talk to them a little bit more in detail. It just depends on the client. Some clients, they don't care. So long as they're seeing results, they really don't care. But then I have other clients that are very technically minded and they want to know more. I don't give away any of my secrets, but I'll talk to them in enough detail to make them happy. How can we find out more about Fletch's business model and selling local leads? Yeah, totally off topic for us. I can give you Fletch's home phone number if you want that.
Yeah, I like that. Hello?
Can you give an overview of what we can expect from the Network Empire team over the next 4 to 4 months? What, you haven't gotten enough already? Like, wait. You know.
I promised to dance the tutu.
Oh, dang. No, we saved that for certification. Okay. You can't do that.
You can expect me to dance for you.
Yeah, I mean, what we're going to try and do is cover the material that we've got inside of Director's Cut. As you can see, I have very little control over my business partners, and they tend to add a lot of additional information at no additional cost. So there you go.
You can expect that. What can we expect?
What if a potential client website is not WordPress? Does it lead to problems if you want to implement DAS? DAS is not a problem because DAS is completely
this is
like it's off site.
Doesn't
so
have anything to do with the CMS.
Yeah, but the plugins, yeah, that makes a difference. So typically, like again, if they have a website, you don't necessarily have to touch the website. You can add a blog,
right?
And you can add a blog on their same subdomain. And if they're really picky about it, which some clients are, you get particularly like if you're in the dealing with lawyers and other professions like that, they're really, really picky about the content that's on their domain. So then you can get another domain and put your blog on a completely separate domain. It's not going to be as effective, but it will still help rankings.
Wow, you guys are incredibly attentive. We still have well over 100 people on the call after solid 2 hours of answering question after question. That's amazing. You guys have been a great audience.
Definitely. I'm just, I'm not seeing all the questions flash by because I'm reading the ones on the screen, but I just saw Christine say that she submitted the questions in the first webinar and also added to the doc. If they've been added to the doc, they're here. I got to say, I'm only up to, I'm not even all the way through the questions that were submitted the first day that we had the questionnaire up. I'm sad to say. So, but the good news is new questions are not being added as quickly. So I can skip 18. That's right. I had deleted that a couple of times, but I had to go back and do it again. Thank you.
Here's a quickie. Damien has asked, how should I set the permalinks when using the Silo plugin to build small local one layer? The permalinks.
Oh, that's a great question. Let me just
on he's talking obviously about simple Silo. Is that right, Sue? Or no, he's just talking about any Silo?
Doesn't matter. This should be your permalink.
And it should be on the install. I think didn't we code it to have it properly set on install now? Yeah, we did.
Yeah, it will.
So everyone, this should automatically, as soon as you install either one of these plugins, should automatically be / category post name.
Yeah, but if you've got the older versions, then they won't.
If you have a very old version, then you really shouldn't have that very old version. I just want to tell you. So be sure to upgrade.
They might. Anyway.
But you shouldn't.
Okay. I bought an expired domain and built a site a few months back, and for the keyword top link building, it does fine. But how would you use it? In other words, what would you do? Please feel free. We had this question before. Yeah, last week. That's what I thought. So, all right. So then I'm not going to answer it again. Most of these questions are not from last week, are they? We haven't gone through and answered everything all over again, have we? Did I get on the wrong sheet? Tell me no. Okay, good. Does it matter if I create the blogspot from the same Gmail? Create the blogspot with the same Gmail as the social profile. No, that's fine. You know, let me just think about that. It depends on what you're doing with that blogspot.
Yeah, because it doesn't really say what he's doing with it.
Links from Blogspot. I'm trying to remember if those are do-follow links or no-follow links. I kind of think they're do-follow links.
I'm checking.
If those are do-follow links, I would not use the same social profile. I would use a different social profile. If they're no-follow links, then you're good. Otherwise, Google's could look at that and track it back and say, hey. If one makes a mistake in making a vSilo in WordPress, is there a way to delete it and start over? Yes, you have to delete the pages and the category. Yeah,
which is fairly important. Yeah. People forget the category and then things get messed up. So,
you know, we have, yeah, cool. All right, so the next question, I'm going to try and get through this whole list so that we're caught up from last week and we're only on new stuff, and then I'll turn it back over to Jimmy to do that, the review of that site. So reviewing social explosions, help material is under the impression that if an RSS feed is added to Social Explosion on blog 1, that it is possible to add a new RSS feed on a completely different blog. Yeah, I made that mistake, I think, when I was doing that first video, and it's not true. If you add a new RSS feed, if you add a different RSS feed on a different blog, the first RSS feed will be deactivated. My apologies. We're working on it to get that fixed, but that's probably, we got to rewrite the blog. So it's probably a good 6 weeks away. In the DAS Webby step-by-step, what exactly do the purple arrows leading from the Facebook and Twitter back to the money site represent? Did we answer that maybe in everything that Jimmy's done in the last few minutes? Rankin, are we on the web?
I'm still trying to follow
I got it.
the RSS feed issue that you whizzed by.
Oh, dang. Okay, so if you've got Social Explosion on 2 different blogs, and you put an RSS feed on blog 1, and then you go into blog 2, and you add a different RSS feed, the first RSS feed will be deactivated.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I did not know that. Going over to the help file.
All right. Are there links coming from adding the website into the profiles themselves with the social platforms, or do they represent links from specific? You know, I think in that it was, Jimmy, are you there? Can you validate that for me? I'm thinking that it's linking back to the money site.
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, that's just, the purple arrows were representing things that could have already been done through using Russell's, you know, by setting up the feed system already. You know, and Yelp was representing something you would have ordered from, you know, either Yext or that Fiverr gig that you'd have readily available already. Okay. So basically, they would have been created probably by the time you got to the point to link to them.
Paul has asked, back to RSS and Social Explosion, do you recommend combining all clients and domain authority stacks into one master feed?
I like doing different feeds for different clients because typically they're going to be different topics.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
And also speaking to you, Paul, I think that would kind of, as far as your reporting, probably wouldn't be, it might be a reporting issue for you in SE. Anyways, moving on.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that just yet, Paul. Hang tight. We're
working on it.
With a version that'll do.
We're working on it.
All right, Marina also asked a question. Does this mean that I can apply DAS and Social Explosion to both main domain and subdomains? Sure.
Yes.
What I'm confused about is if I must have a subdomain or it's optional.
It's optional.
It's optional to have, a subdomain.
Yeah.
And if I do end up creating both, do I need to have Social Explosion and DAS applied to both? So Social Explosion is only going to be needed if you're building new posts. So if one of your sites is a money site and you're creating a relatively static site or you're creating a site with pages, you don't need Social Explosion. DAS, on the other hand, you can easily run to both.
And
when you say the
well, yeah, there's just some strategies there. We get into some more advanced strategies, but you know there are advantages to powering up your subdomain, as Jimmy will tell you guys time and again.
You know, Marina, I know is
she's going to be at certificate.
Is taking other courses, yes, so she'll get the skinny on.
Yeah, so you're going to have some. We'll get into that with you more, Marina. I know what you're asking, and yeah, you have the right idea.
Yeah. So when you say the first RSS feed in the Social Explosion is deactivated, what happens if posts are pending? If those posts are pending, they'll go ahead and get socially exploded. Those posts will go ahead and get.
Is that a verb? Social explosion.
It is now.
Steve B says this information is absolute gold. Thank you, guys. You're welcome, Steve. And yes, it is. It's because Sue and Jimmy are so crazy skilled with this stuff. Josh says, so let me get this straight. There is no benefit to using Social Explosion on a site that is static. Well, there's a couple of things, Josh. If you have the RSS feed function there, so if you have it installed, you can use it as your centralized repository for any RSS feeds that you want to schedule. And your RSS feeds should be ongoing. And those can be from second-party platforms and other what we call WRS1s and WRS2s. So for the site itself, it depends. Are you using RSS feeds pointing to that static site that are on social platforms? And probably you wouldn't be if it's a static site, meaning there's no content being updated. So the advantage would be, yes, more minimalist compared to if you have a site that's got a frequency of publish.
Yeah. All right. So, Lorena, one more question. New client has a Shopify site. Not sure how to work with those. Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Instagram. You know, that's, Lorena, could you put that question into the thingy-dingy, into the
we get that. See, we get that question a lot.
She has. Okay, we will come to that question.
Yeah, we get that a lot with Shopify.
All right, so just a couple more questions I want to try and get through. Social explosion on multiple websites. Can you walk us through adding the additional feeds? Added blog. Okay, so that's that same thing that we just talked about. And
I wouldn't personally try to rank Shopify.
I have to say I wouldn't either.
Just because they have a seriously, well, I don't know if I should badmouth.
They're not.
They have some things seriously wrong with their coding on their site.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me put it that way. I'm not going to bash anything or talk trash, but I would just leave it at that.
Okay.
I find most e-commerce sites are very difficult to get
don't
right.
get either one of them started on e-commerce. It's a great conversation, and it could take another 2 hours. And I must say that I've been around for a while working with Sue on some big e-commerce platforms, and I'm not going to exactly call them nightmares, but I'll just call them nightmares.
I'll tell you what I do with an e-commerce platform, just quick and dirty, 2 sentences, and then I'm done. I create a blog with static pages. I put those products on those static pages, and they link over to the e-commerce site, and then I rank the blog.
Yeah, and I've watched you do that successfully with some big clients.
Period the end.
Yeah. Okay, period the end.
All right, so
you're not letting us get. I really want to finish this.
I'd rather take those things and put them on Amazon.
You can do that too. There's a cost of putting
that's
them.
what I would use.
Yeah.
There is a cost of putting them on Amazon, and that's a business decision.
Yeah, so
I'm not going to make that business decision. I'm just
and that does get into business architecture, and we do talk about that in other trainings that we have out there. So, okay, Sue, I know you're rushing towards the finish line.
I am, because we're at the 2-minute mark. I only heard the 2 hour mark already. So, when moving a big commerce site to a new platform, what's the best way to counteract a possible drop in
That's exactly what we were just talking about with the whole Magento process that we went through with that gigantic site. We actually went through that transition period from.
Yeah. So
there was nothing that could be done.
all you can do is 301 the old pages to the new pages.
Yeah.
That's it. All right.
And Jimmy wasn't on that project at the time because that was before Jimmy was working with us, but it would have been useful if he'd been around during that. But it was a super mess.
Okay. So I hope not too primary, however, just wondered, is there a simple way of tracking the traffic to a site apart from using Google Analytics? Yes. Oh shoot, my brain is going to fail me. What's the other analytics software? Jimmy, do you know it right off the top of your head? There's a really cool one.
Peak-Week, or
heck.
Pick-Quick?
Yeah, you're on the right track.
There's a few different ones out there.
It's Pick-Quick. Clicky?
Piwick, I think it is.
Yeah, Piwick.
Let me just take a stab, see if I'm there. No, that's close though.
Feeling lucky.
Piwick with a K.
Yeah.
There we go.
It's an unfortunate name.
Yeah, that's the one I use. It's got a lot of really cool features.
Yeah. You guys are amazing. The call is still packed.
K.org. And if I mash up my current RSS feeds into one super feed, bum, 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 bum,
Super.
will social explosion send signals to the old RSS feed or only to the new posts? Only to the new posts. All right. Phew. So I'm done with that. Mr. Kelly, you can take it away. Oh, did we get?
Okay.
Hang on, just.
I think I got all the reports ran.
Okay, great. Just a second. Let me make sure.
Fantastic.
That we can answer Christina's #1 question. Using social explosion on multiple websites. Yeah, you can't add. Can you walk us through adding the additional feeds? I have added another blog, but the reporting is not showing in these posts. Just the original blog post I installed on it. So, oh, I see. That was slightly different from what I thought it was. Hang on a second. So, social explosion. Dun, 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 dun. You come in here. You add the RSS URL right in there, and then if you want Twitter, you're going to have to enable it. So let's just say like www.team-zoom.com. You enable that. You set this to whatever you want.
Oh, it'd be /feed, right?
Oh, duh. Thank you. And Pinterest if you want that, and Digo if you want that, and maybe you don't want Delicious, and so you just leave that one unenabled, and then you hit Save Changes. More coffee, yes, exactly, Jazz. So, so that's all there is to it, and
that what'll happen is everything that's on that feed will immediately get kick-started. So remember, if you've got 20 or 50 RSS feeds, they'll all be put in queue and scheduled.
Entries on the RSS feed is what you mean.
The links on the RSS feed will all be promoted and planned. So just be careful that you know that, because you'll use up whatever tokens associated with each one of those links.
And it's not necessarily immediate. So like if you run right over to reporting and it doesn't say anything, it doesn't mean you haven't done anything wrong.
Yeah, not quite instantaneous.
Depending on the load on the server, it can take sometimes an hour or two before it acknowledges the fact that it received the feed and parsed it.
Yeah, and y'all have been hammering us pretty hard, so give us a few minutes.
Exactly. If you think something's wrong, then put in a help desk question, and we'll check it out. We can look on the back end and make sure that it picked up the feed and tell you what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so all right, so Stephen, would you stick your question into the questionnaire, because it seems like quite a long one.
Yeah.
I would love to give Jimmy the opportunity to have a bit of time to do what he needs to do. I know it's going to take him about a half hour.
Yeah, this is a pretty comprehensive thing that Jimmy's going to show us now, so maybe we should just jump into it because we're already way over the 2-hour mark.
Yeah. All right, Jimmy, take it away.
Okay. So I ran all the reports that I could see.
Excellent.
That I consider important parts. And I'll just try to walk people through each part. I mean, obviously, without taking the training, it might be a lot, but I can touch on the basics. So first I ran a detox thing on this. Well, actually, first, before I did anything, I went over to SEMrush and I put in the site. And you can see two major drops. This one was about February, and then you got another one again in February. You can see it's not a huge dive at that point, but it's still, you know, they're having enough keywords drop. You know, it dropped by half. And you can see here, 95 to 48. You can see that half drop on both of those. And then they just kind of have leveled out since then. You know, it's been like a slow bleed is what I call that. And typically what that tells me, you know, once you go back and look, you could probably go back and look and see what update that was, but I think we're dealing with a Panda penalty. But just to be safe, I also went and just ran a detox report on it using link research tools. And so they have 56 referring domains. And the worst case links he has is a suspicious 4. Now, suspicious 4 are typically sites that have been penalized. So, for instance, they're not indexed anymore when you do a search for them. And suspicious 4 is okay to a certain point, but when 16 of your 56 links are gone, you know, it's enough because he doesn't have enough of the other good links that I would be concerned. So I would want to make sure that I go in and I disavow using the Google disavow tool these 16, and then you also want to look at the suspicious 24 because this is a possible link network. So those two, and sometimes you might find the same sites in both of these. So I would deal with both of these first, and you want to go get those disavowed. And then since it was Panda, I went and ran a Screaming Frog report on it because this kind of gives you a breakdown of what's going on page. So you have your URL here, your web address, and the main things I look at is the address, and then you have your H1 or your title. I mean the title of your page. You got your meta description, right? Whoops. And you have your H1.
And you're looking at these because you suspect a Panda, right? Panda means content.
Correct. So like
over-optimization.
Yeah. Panda, so specifically that second drop that he had in February of 2013 was the year that Google integrated the page layout algorithm into the Panda algorithm. So Panda looks at both. Panda handles a lot of the algorithms, but that's when they officially brought it in under the Panda umbrella. So with that, the page layout algorithm is all about looking like there's too many ads on site. Now, something people should be aware of, they don't care if they see pictures, they don't really care if that's going to different sites or not. It's not about the linking out portion, it's about how the page looks. So we'll get to that in a minute. But one thing I noticed by running this report, so you look at the URL string here, and I'm sorry I can't make this bigger. But it's impactsports.com/about/location/Austin Basketball Youth/South Austin Basketball Youth. So then in the title they put South Austin Basketball Youth, and the H1 is also South Austin Basketball Youth. So for this particular page, they basically have South Austin Basketball Youth 3 times in this situation. So the URL is definitely over-optimized in this case. So you probably would want to do some, so it's already Austin. So I would just change that page URL. So keep Austin Basketball Youth in there, but I would just rename that page to just be South, and that's it. So it'd just be /South.
Too much Austin basketball stuff in there.
Yeah, so they're repeating this keyword in the URL string twice, and then they're putting it in title, and then they're putting H1. So those are the 3.
Way too much.
When you're looking, when you're looking at over-optimization, those are the 3 main things that you need to look at.
Gotcha. So that's that Panda effect you're seeing on Kemper.
Yeah. So basically what you're looking at is you don't want to, since the keyword's already exactly in the address, he needs to kind of fluff it up some on the title, if that makes sense. So I would put, you do South Austin basketball for youngsters or something.
Right.
Or, try to make it, or put the best South Austin basketball youth program. Include the keywords, but you don't have to put it exactly in there because you already have it in the URL.
Yeah.
So, and then when you go to your H1, so if you want to swap this up to be different than what your title is, but still related, so this would be a different version of the LSI, because most of the weight will be placed on this URL.
Right.
And since the exact matches are in there, we don't need to it's kind of like the same thing, and I do this sometimes when I talk. But you'll say the same thing over and over and over again. So that's exactly what's kind of going on with the page and the keyword here. The 3 main points that it's looking at, you're saying Google's coming saying, "Hi, how are you?" And you're saying Austin Basketball Youth, South Austin Basketball Youth. And then
okay. Shut up. No, you're not.
Well, let me know a little bit about yourself. let's go look at the title, and then Google says, you respond back with South Austin Basketball Youth. And they're like, okay, well, what are you all about? What are your desires and things? And then you answer back again with South Austin Basketball Youth. So this conversation between what's on your page versus what the bot is looking at is kind of, think of that as a conversation.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want to have to keep saying, you don't need to keep saying the same keyword over and over. Like, if that was a people interaction, you'd be like, okay, going to move on to the next one.
Got it.
Okay.
Got it. That's great. I love the way you described that. That's pretty good. So it's like not a real conversation.
Yeah. So, and then we come over and we look at so now, just to get a feel for, okay, I saw how the URL structure was, so then I went to go look at the actual website. When you look at the website, this is, this part right here is about the only text that I see on this page. If you look at this, this is all picture.
Yeah, picture
oriented. Like there's content down here, but it's, these are snippets out of those pages.
Right.
So, and then if you go and you look, like I'll just click on one of them, now you got a different URL that is only a picture.
Yeah.
So Google does the same thing. When it starts crawling your site, it's going to come and find the same thing you are. So if you're going to these different areas, you're going to be like, well, there's not, the February 2012 was mostly Panda that addressed thin content. And then his second hit in February 2013 was Panda including the page layout algorithm, which is too many ads. And when you look at this, again, it doesn't matter if it's going like outbound to other places. So, even if this is on site, you're still going to get hit with this. So he needs to go in here and add, substantial, 500 to 600 words of actual content on here. Maybe even throw in a video. Well, he's got videos down the bottom, so he's good on that. But, add in some more content and address the URL structure, and then just make sure that, if Google's looking at this specific page, just make sure you're not saying the same thing over and over again. So like, again, with this one, he's got the main keyword here, first step basic jump shooting, and then it's got first step shooting, and then the H1 is first step shooting. And then this is a big one that probably most people weren't aware of. Get rid of your social buttons under your H1. So to Google, this looks like ads, and what you should have right under it is content. So if you want to put content in and then move, do a paragraph and then move those social signals under that, you can do that. But you definitely need to have some kind of wording under your H1 always, never a picture. No matter if it's an on-site picture or a social picture, whatever, that's a trigger for Panda. So those are the three things I would say need to be addressed. And then once you get that stuff fixed on-site, I would move over and try to get those few links that we looked at, the 14 that were no index and then the 8 that were possible link network. So.
Oh.
Now remember, part of the page layout algorithm is having content and the engagement towards the top of the page. And so, even if you have some of that stuff on there, like the videos are way, let's see, the videos are down here, and then he's got some content down here, but we need to move all this up towards the top, right? The page layout algorithm, and you could do this. When you look at this in Google Analytics, you can go and look, and it'll show you like where that content needs to fall. Like, should I just pull that up real quick since we're in this, or no?
Sure. Why not? We got momentum. Let's help them out.
You guys want to see that, or
we got to help.
Just
we got to help
you if you'd rather move on.
We got to help Lonnie help the kids basketball team.
Okay.
It's a good cause.
So. Let's see.
Got to keep these kids off the video games at least for 10 minutes a day. I don't know about you guys, but I have a hard time keeping my kids off the video games. Holy mackerel.
What is it you're going to show them? I was answering somebody's question.
Oh, I'm pulling it up. I'm just going to show them that page layout thing that you can see in
okay. In Google Webmasters Tools.
But it's really difficult for me to lecture my kids on being in front of the computer too long, since I'm in front of my computer a long time as well.
But you get paid for that. That's the difference.
Well, that's what I tell him, but he doesn't seem to get that.
Okay, so if you have this site on your Webmaster Tools and Analytics, you can come in here and you can click on In-Page Analytics. And this takes a little bit of time to load, but and this is the page layout algorithm. Like, you can see kind of where your content is on the fold. So I'm just going to show you an example here. Like, I don't have access to this specific
site
website analytics that we're looking at, so I'm just going to show you.
But Lonnie, you can go and look at that and see, and do the same thing.
Okay, so you can show color. This shows you like where people are clicking, where they're going. And now this one, let me take this one off. Okay, so this is ideal for where Google wants to show percentiles. Okay, there we go. So when you come down and look at this, these lines, I don't know how we can see this, but these lines that are going across, these are the percentages of where the content should land on your page. And Google wants the content as high up as you can get. But I would say you should always be shooting for above the 60% line. So you can see, for example, on this website, this one I made the header entirely too big. If I was to go back and do this, I would thin up the header, and that would allow me to bring the H1 and the content up within, in between the 90 and the 80 percentile. Like, I want my content right in here.
Right.
If it's further down the page, you're going to get hit with a page layout penalty, which is part of Panda, so you'll see it go down during a Panda update or something like that. But you'll think it's Panda when it's really just maybe you need to move some the content up on the page.
Wow, that's huge.
So hopefully that helps you guys kind of understand that algorithm a little more.
Got it.
So that's it.
Fantastic, Jimmy. That was really unexpected. I didn't realize we were going to go so far into this. One quick question that just came through, I think, from wow, I lost the questions. Hang on. Was about the painkiller article method. She asked if we were going to be doing any training on the painkiller article method as part of Director's Cut. One thing I would be happy to do, I would have to get Sue to sign off on that, would be to provide you with our one-page PDF template on that. But we haven't really discussed it, so let me just get Lorraine. Lorraine is saying, "Oh, please, Sue."
Sure.
Okay.
She don't like
All right, I'll go ahead and drop that. That's kind of huge, you guys. We actually hadn't planned on doing that, but I think it'll be useful. Just know that it's not super complicated. Like, compared to the complex technical SEO training you just got from Jimmy, that stuff's pretty easy. It's just a way of writing articles that are pretty easy. You can do it in under 10 minutes. So I'll go ahead and find that, and I'll drop the link for you shortly.
You're going to have to give it to David, too, so they can post it into the video.
Yeah, probably that would be the best way, because I don't actually have it super handy. So I tell you what, Lorraine, I will drop the wiki entry, which does not have our complete PDF template, and then I'll let David know that they can put that up in there, the actual PDF it's got the templates on there. Okay, so I'll go ahead and drop the wiki entry, which will get you started and prepared for that, and then we'll give you the full template. All right, I'm going to go ahead and send that to everybody right now. That just the wiki entry. All right. Well, Sue, we have been on, I think, slightly over 2.5 hours.
Just coming up on 2.5 hours.
How are you feeling about wrapping this up?
Yeah, I'm ready to wrap it up. I just got one more thing. Jimmy, would you go into Webmaster Tools really quick and just show them where they can drop a file for disavowing links?
Oh yeah, somebody dropped a link I saw earlier. I think it was webmasters/tools/removals. That's not a disavow link, just so he knows. I hope somebody grabbed that.
That's why I'm like.
Oh, that's why you're covering it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so when, like I usually find it, get logged into your Webmaster Tools account, and you would think that I would remember the thing, but I don't know how to get to it directly from there. So I always just type in Google Disavow Tool,
Yeah.
and then it's always the first one that pops up. You could just come in here and select which site it is, and you'll hit Disavow Links, and then it'll ask you to upload a TXT file of what you want to disavow. And I would recommend to people, so if you find a bad link that is just absolute garbage or something you didn't build or whatever, just do disavow:website.com. Remember, don't do www.website.com. Do the actual root. That's what's called the root of the domain. Mm-hmm. So just do the disavow:website.com.
Okay.
And just put that in there, you just want to do each one. So that's how you do it.
Yeah, we're having a lot of kudos coming down the screen. Really appreciate that, you guys. I'm going to read a couple of them out loud. Friends saying, appreciate everything that you guys are doing. It's so awesome. Lorraine thanked us for the painkiller. Thank you so much for the painkiller article method stuff that we'll be providing. David Duncan asks, at what point should we just join the membership at networkempire.com anytime? David, I'm going to answer that question very clearly by saying there's a distinctive flavor that you get within here. It's highly compressed. I'm not saying that you should or shouldn't join Network Empire, but what I would say is that you fully utilize all the material that you're getting in the director's cut, because there is a unique way that is presented in with the unique connections. So just make sure that you don't overextend yourself. Make sure that you get through all this material first, because there's so many people at so many different levels, and we just want to make sure that you're using what you have at hand. Okay. Let me see. Jimmy says, does Jimmy have a tool to estimate anchor text percentage after a disavow? That's a great question, Jimmy. A tool to estimate anchor text percentage after disavow file has been submitted.
Well, that's one reason. Let's see if I can pull this up. That's one reason I like using the disavow tool by Link Research Tools, because let's say I go to start a report,
mm-hmm.
and when you come in down here to do your link detox, you'll put in your domain and everything, but you have the option to link this up to your Webmaster Tools. I don't remember where that is exactly.
It's through an API?
Oh, or do you upload your disavow file there?
Yeah, maybe, let's see. Oh yeah, that's true. You can do it that way too.
Okay.
So once you, that's the wrong one. So once you run it, once you run your report, when you go back through, I guess that is the easiest way to do it. There is a way to actually sync your Webmaster Tools up with this. I just can't remember off the top of my head where it is. But if you've already disavowed something, you could just come in here and put it in right here, upload disavowed link, so it will not include that the second time around when you run your report. So that way you know that you're just addressing what's live and current on the site.
Oh, that's awesome.
Wow. There's so many great comments. There's, guys, thanks. Just so many comments while Susie's saying that was just fantastic. So many new connections made this time. Several of you said the penny is starting to drop, light bulbs going off. Mike says, oh no, that was the other one. Jazz says, great job, so much to learn. Yeah, and I realized, what's really interesting about this webinar today is we've covered so many. At least your overwhelm is contained. If any of you are experiencing overwhelm with it's a good overwhelm because Jimmy's revealed the real essence, and Sue have revealed the real essence of the SEO, kind of disavow the penalization stuff. So you're getting a taste for a little bit of everything, and that's really what makes this a very unique type of environment, is that you're getting really a compressed connection to everything, and I really am enjoying this as well. David saying thank you all so much. Thank you, Jimmy. Thanks for the info. Great. So anyway, yeah, it is a very streamlined. You guys are on the quick path, accelerated path with all these connections, and we're now at the 2-hour and I think 40-minute mark, and this is going to be a pretty large file that I have to process for the rest of the afternoon. So I think we'll probably just go ahead and wrap it up. And next week at the same time on Tuesday, we're alternating from evening to afternoon, evening, afternoon. So next Tuesday will be in the evening. Okay. And so the sign-up link will be in the director's cut area, and it'll be the same time as it was on the previous Tuesday evening. Sue or Jimmy, do you have anything to wrap up in this? Anything you'd like to add? Any words of inspiration or profundities?
I have some.
Okay. What you got to say, Jimmy?
First, I wanted to tell Patrick thank you for sending me the barbecue sauce.
Oh.
I really enjoyed it.
Oh, right.
It is very good. I've been getting into barbecuing, and he has a book that he's written. It's really awesome stuff, and I've been really liking.
Oh, Patrick wrote a book on barbecue?
It's like you do classes, right, Patrick?
What's the name what's your website, Patrick?
Yeah, do you have a website?
Because we can drop it here. Just go, we're a lot of us into barbecue. What's the name? Tw0Bq.com. Tw0Bq. Okay.
Let me write that in here so you guys can see it.
Yeah, we should paste it in there. Yeah, we'll drop the link for you guys. Patrick, I hope you have a server. I hope.
But it's really good stuff.
Excellent. So and you got that. You've got that ceramic barbecue thing, don't you?
Oh yeah, I got the big green egg, and I've been loving that.
You're barbecuing badass.
Learning to smoke stuff.
I'm really jealous about that.
And I'd also request a favor. If you guys really got, you guys like the sessions and stuff we've been doing, give us a shout out in the Facebook group so people can know that we're doing a good job.
Yeah, that's helpful.
Just to spread the word of what you think on Director's Cut.
Yeah.
So do it on the OMG. That's the OMG NHP.
Yeah, you can
Facebook.
do it. The OMG group is fine to mention it.
And then that's all I got for now.
Okay.
And thanks for everyone for sticking around for so long.
Hey, Sue, do you have any words of wisdom to depart, business or otherwise?
The one thing that I will say is I've seen several questions scroll by that we haven't been able to get to today, and I don't want you guys to be left out in the cold, so please use our form and add your questions to the list. We're slowly knocking them down, and we'll get to you shortly.
Yeah,
so I appreciate your patience.
And I would like to thank the audience. You guys I am really impressed. We are 2.5 hours in, and we are still looking at, I think, greater than 100 people still. I've actually never seen anything like that. Very solid, very full-on. You guys that tells us a lot about your dedication and commitment, and that affects our desire to give. We give as much as we possibly can. One thing that you will learn about my team, whether it's a live event, whether it's at OMG Live, we will give and give and give. I mean, to the point where I sometimes feel like I need to drag Jimmy and Sue off the stage. Remember at OMG, Sue, it was at a certain point, even Mike Long was like, okay, they should eat, It's so that's one thing I would say is we do tend to give and extend, and what really excites us is when people are showing a particular kind of discipline, because discipline is that one thing that takes us from good to great. It is also what actually enhances the connections of even a team or what we call a mastermind. So, that's really what I'm excited about. So I'd like to thank each and every one of you for that. And also remember, One thing I would appreciate to add to this, just again trying to cover my team's backs, don't leave help desk messages on Facebook, like on Sue's Facebook. She just simply won't see it. I will actually see it, but I will redirect you to, I'll just drop our Fanatical support desk, or you need to go actually to, if you ask me about software, rather, go to, there is also support follow-up in Director's Cut directly for the course content. So don't try to hit Jimmy or myself or Sue up on our Facebook, because that's like our personal family Facebook page. You know, go to our direct to support. It'll go to the link. I know there's a support email also inside Director's Cut. So with that being said, we'll wrap this up, and I'll try to get this uploaded as soon as we can. And we look forward to seeing you. Sue, am I interrupting? Do you have something else you want to add?
Well, I just wanted to say, can you guys see my screen? I put that questionnaire form up in there because
yeah.
a couple of asked me for it. Okay.
Oh, okay, is that okay? The type form. Yeah, but how are they going to?
I dropped it to everybody.
Oh, did we?
I dropped it.
We dropped it. Okay, we don't have to memorize that link, right? Okay, cool.
We should make a Bitly that's.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Quick.
A mnemonic somehow.
Yeah, I mean that would be tough. So that's the main thing that we wanted to add there. We're going to keep you guys all informed. We have never had this much software being released all simultaneously at the same time ever in the history of our company. So bear with us while we start to drip out these upgrades to you. And you guys get the best first, and I'm really excited about that as well for you. And of course, we also want to thank Mike Long, David Mills, Law of Implication. We want to thank Greg Morrison, who consistently has shown huge amounts of respect, and we've learned a ton from him. And I know as much as Greg is learning from Jimmy, what I love about Greg is his ability to completely and quickly and rapidly, with absolute integrity and with zero hype, implement major changes when they're coming about without any fear, without any concern. That's what makes your whole Director's Cut OMG Machines team. I can honestly say this, you guys, that is probably hands down the most powerful team that is out there that I have seen. And in my career, which is now going on 10 years in the SEO business and software business, there has not been a team like this gathered in one place. And I know I don't have to, you know, work it up at all. You guys already know that, but it is kind of amazing because when you have a good team, when you have the right people on the bus, the destination and where you're trying to go is way, way easier to get there. I just really want to make sure that you guys are aware of that. Okay, so we'll see you all in the upcoming Tuesday. This has been Russell Wright, Sue Bell, Jimmy Kelly, Director's Cut OMG. We look forward to seeing you on the inside.